Hey, RosterWatch Nation, it's your friendly neighborhood Trashman. Last time I was with you, I talked about my top 5 favorite rookie quarterbacks going into the NFL season thus far as fantasy purposes go. Today, I'm going to talk about my favorite rookie running backs, 5 of them going into the NFL season thus far. Let's go ahead and get started. Jonathan Taylor is first off the bat. And keep in mind, I'm not doing this. I'm not ranking them in order of who I think will be the best to who I think will be the worst, or I don't think any of them are going to be the worst, actually. But these are just going to be my top 5 in general. So first off, Jonathan Taylor of the Colts. The Colts surrendered 2 picks to move up to get Taylor. So that tells me that they did not get him to sit on the bench behind Marlon Mack. He's the most accomplished running back in this year's draft class. He was our consensus favorite running back going into the draft. He had almost 2,000 rushing yards and 13 touchdowns in each of his 3 seasons with the Wisconsin Badgers. He actually finished 6th in the FBS's all-time rushing list. He's a 96th percentile Spark athlete, and he runs a 4.39. This is a guy who's 226 pounds. He's pretty incredible. The one thing that I think could keep him off the field is his ball security. He has ball security issues. He actually tied for the lead in the FBS with fumbles with 6, and he dropped 8 of 50 career targets. He's not, in my opinion, quite the receiving back that Marlon Mack is. And I know Alex and I talked about it on the pod last week. He didn't think Marlon Mack was much of a receiving back. But actually, if you look at his college film and what he was projected to do in the NFL, he actually was a pretty decent receiving back and is a pretty decent receiving back. But he is not the running back that Jonathan Taylor is. It might be a little bit of a shared backfield, but look for Taylor to take over the Colts backfield sooner than later. After that, we have DeAndre Swift of the Detroit Lions. For us, he was arguably the best pass catching back in the draft. It was between him and Clyde EdwardsHelaire. DeAndre Swift, I think, though, might be a little bit better of a runner than Hilaire. Is a little bit shiftier. He rushed for over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns each of his last 2 seasons in Georgia. I mean, this is a guy who got on the field when Sony Michel was around. He averaged 7.8 yards per carry with Michel and Nick Chubb. Don't let me forget in the Georgia backfield. Keep in mind, though, this is a Matt Patricia team, and he is of the Bill Belichick musical chair running back school. So that backfield might be a little bit convoluted throughout the season. Kerryon Johnson is still probably at least the starting running back du jour in name. But look for DeAndre Swift to work his way into that lineup, especially in receiving situations, third down situations, and he can actually take care of the first 2 downs as well. DeAndre Swift, we like him a lot. He's going to do good things there in Detroit. Up next, the guy I just mentioned in talking about Swift is Clyde EdwardsHelaire of the Chiefs. He's probably in contention to have the best season of the rookie running backs. Like I said, he's arguably the best pass catcher in the draft. We had, we kind of went back and forth between him and Swift. But like Swift as well, Clyde EdwardsHelaire can handle the first 2-down role in addition to staying on the field with third downs. Andy Reid thinks he's better than former Philadelphia Eagle and Andy Reid acolyte Brian Westbrook, and that's quite a compliment to give the guy. Damian Williams is being touted as the one in a 1-2 punch that involves him and Clyde EdwardsHelaire. And although I've always rooted for Damian Williams throughout his career, even when he's back in Miami, he's never had more than 111 carries or 30 receptions in a season, and I don't think he'll have that many this year with EdwardsHelaire in the mix. So draft Hilaire in Dynasty in keeper leagues and in redraft leagues. He's going to provide a lot of value for you there. Up next, we have Cam Akers of the Rams. He actually entered college in Florida State as a quarterback, so he's got good football acumen. He's basically a combination of Darrell Henderson and Malcolm Brown, the guys they have in the backfield right now, so he can do both of their jobs. They don't need to take him off the field. 3.9 of his 4.9 yards per carry in college came after contact, so he's a guy who can take a licking and keep on ticking. And on top of being an impressive runner, he showed a lot of promise as a pass catcher. He had 69 receptions across 3 seasons, including 30 in his final year. So this is a guy, he wasn't talked about quite as much as some of these other guys coming into the draft, but in that offense, I think he's a guy who can get a lot of run, and I think he's a guy who can beat out the competition there. So keep Akers in mind in redrafts, in addition to dynasty and keeper leagues, where he's going to provide a lot of value, probably in the near future. Up next, we have Keyshawn Vaughn of the Buccaneers. He's not an exciting back by any means, but he was very consistent in college, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons with a terrible Vanderbilt offense, 125th ranked Vanderbilt offense. His only real competition in Tampa is Ronald Jones, the same Ronald Jones who couldn't keep Peyton Barber off the field, so I don't really count that as that much competition. And while Keyshawn Vaughn is more of a complimentary back, he's the kind of guy who has worked himself into major roles in any of the situations he's been in. He's a hard worker, and I think in that Tampa Bay backfield, he's going to be somebody. He's going to be able to take over the role as the go-to back there. And last but not least, we have J.K. Dobbins of the Ravens. The Ravens actually had Dobbins as a first round grade. So when they got the opportunity to get him in the second round, they pulled the trigger with a quickness. Mark Ingram is still technically the lead back in Baltimore, but he's a bit long in the tooth for a running back, and Dobbins can do everything that Ingram does. It's a crowded backfield with Gus Edwards and Justice Hill around as well, but look for Dobbins to share the majority of snaps with Ingram. Even as a second or third role runner, Lamar Jackson, let's be honest, is the de facto starting running back in Baltimore. Dobbins should see plenty of action on a team that runs the ball twice as much as anybody else. They averaged 206 yards a game on the ground in the NFL last year, and that is quite a lot. I think the next closest team was probably the Bills, I think, and they had 144 yards averaging on the ground. So there you have it, my top 5 fantasy rookie running backs going into the league as it stands right now. If you like the content I'm giving you, that we give you from RosterWatch.com, leave us a comment below. It'll help us out a lot as far as these metrics, these YouTube and Switch and Twitch and Flitch and whatever else we're being streamed on. It helps us out in all of those situations. So leave us a comment, show us some love, or not, show us some hate. We can stand it. At least we think we can. I think I can. I don't know. I'm a little bit sensitive, I'll be honest. Anyways, that's all I have for you today. This is the Trashman on behalf of RosterWatch.com. Until next time, be ready.